Hey folks, so I'm here with a McWill modded Sega Game Gear. Nothing too special about this on first sight, except that I actually have modified this so that if you turn the dial halfway, it will shut off the screen and now display in composite and S-video. You notice I'm actually using a 3-button Sega Genesis controller to control this, and I have to keep tapping fire playing Fantasy Zone gear, because that's just kind of how the old Fantasy Zone games are. This gets pretty old though, especially with this game, as much as I love it. And there is now a way to fix that. So I'm in the pause menu, and now if I hold left, I press start, and then I exit. Now I have beautiful auto fire, which makes this game way more enjoyable. And feels just, yeah. This actually might be a good one to show off the overclocking as well if I wait for a lot of enemies to show up on the screen. So there's another button combination I can do, where if I want to do overclocking and auto fire at the same time though, I have to, whoops, well, not die. That's probably the first thing I gotta not do. Game over! Now when I press start again, it'll undo the auto fire. So the way I do this is, if we look down here at the console, you'll see this light is orange right now. If I hold down start for 2 seconds, it turns red. It's a little hard to pick up on camera, but it's more obvious in real life. And that means overclocking is now active. Now that overclocking is active, I can go ahead and enable the auto fire by pressing left and start. And I now have, all through the controller, an overclocked, well, I just crashed into like what looks like a giant watermelon. But now I have a pretty sweet setup going. And I can also hold down start at any point for 2 seconds to disable the overclock. But hopefully we can get some more enemies on screen here, and you can see how it helps. Now the overclock is, it's a pretty modest 4 megahertz overclock from the 3.5 megahertz stock. But it does help quite a lot. As you can see, it's not slowing down like it was before. Now I'll lose the auto fire if I keep swapping back and forth between the overclocking. I'll also have to pause the game. But yeah, you can see it's running really smooth right now. If I was at a later level, I could get a lot more enemies on screen. Let's see what happens though. If I hold down start, the LED goes back to orange. I re-enable auto fire. And now let's let some enemies come on screen. This game might not have as much slowdown as I thought it did. Oh, that wasn't even touching me! That's like a hitbox failure there. I'm really being awesome at Fantasy Zone right now. It's a great game though. I really like the pastel color palette that they use in this.
It's too bad this wasn't an overclock for Super Nintendo. It would be very easy to create slowdown.
Yeah. Well, there's certain games, I'll try to show another game. There's certain games where it's real obvious, like Sonic Triple Trouble. There's definitely a fair amount of it though. It's just not as bad. And you can kind of feel it more playing, like your ship going slower. But your ship's already a little slow, so it's not as pronounced. Anyway, that's the... mostly just wanted to show this game for the auto fire. But I can load up a different game, and I'll show you now. I'll go ahead and tap the reset button. And you'll see as soon as I tap the reset button, it has this bug with the Kirkus flash cart, so I would have to power cycle multiple times, but I could just keep tapping the reset button, and I'll go right back to the menu. So that's a nice little bug fix that I incorporated in there. And now let's go and check out a game that, well, actually, let's try a PAL game. Let's see. This is one of my favorite games on the Master System, called New Zealand Story. It's an arcade game originally, but I really like this port of it because they changed up a few things and made the game just a little more enjoyable, I think. However, if you're playing this on a regular Game Gear, even with a regular McWill mod and everything installed, it's going to look like this. And you can probably hear the music all sped up because this game is meant for 50 Hertz PAL. So that's kind of a problem. What can we do about that? Well, let's go down here to our system. The first thing we can do is we'll put this in VGA mode. When we put it in VGA mode, we'll see over here on the VGA CRT that I have set up that it's still glitching. And yeah, it's still glitching because it's still, even though it's in VGA, it's still wanting PAL. Fortunately, my new Video Decoder Board Pro incorporates some new features. And now, if we hold down and we press reset, we'll see over here the LED on the console is now green. We'll go ahead and start the game. Music is slower, the way it's meant to be. And no more glitching. This is now a PAL 50 Hertz system. If you have a PAL supporting CRT, you can plug this into it and it's a full PAL composite and S-video signal as well, which is really nice. If you don't have one, you can use a simple adapter like this. These are about $10 online, and these will plug into your VGA monitor, and then you can plug in S-video or composite, and this will let you display PAL games on your VGA monitor. Now, the only advantage to doing that is if you don't like the scaling and the tearing that happens in the McWill VGA video.
Yeah, I mean, you can see pretty clearly the shimmering that happens on the vertical lines. Like, look up at the bricks. See when you're moving quickly to the left or right, it's real obvious.
Yeah, and so let's see what happens if we plug in this adapter now. Go ahead and pause this.